Who doesn't love a good disaster movie with The Rock? Hey, I'm Amy and welcome back. Today I am talking about Rampage, and this one is kind of an interesting one. I have been talking a lot about it on my Stardust. I was kind of really excited to see it because who doesn't love a disaster movie with The Rock who's friends with a giant white gorilla? It sounds amazing and it sounds stupid and it sounds like so much fun. Honestly, what I thought this movie was going to be was like a Planet of the Apes meets King Kong meets Godzilla and just a bunch of huge monster animals fighting each other in a city and just tearing it down and destroying it, and The Rock is there to save the day. And essentially it's just that. It's a huge monster movie where animals are fighting each other, a lizard, a wolf, and a giant albino gorilla to be exact, and The Rock kind of helps save the day with, well, he helps the gorilla save the day, I guess. That's pretty much the synopsis of it. It is loosely based on a video game of the same name where you play as a giant lizard, a giant wolf, or a giant gorilla. And you just destroy buildings. That's all you do. Very, very concerned about how they were going to adapt the video game into a movie, but the movie really has nothing to do with the video game besides the fact that there are the same animals in both. Before I really deep dive into my thoughts, I was invited to a really early screening of this by Stardust and Real D 3D. I got to see this movie about a week early in 3D, and it was so cool, and I will talk about my thoughts on the Real D 3D in just a second. But I wanted to give a huge shout out to Real D 3D and Stardust. Thank you guys so much for inviting me. It was such a fun event. Some very initial thoughts on this movie. It is a very fun popcorn flick, and don't go to this expecting much more than that. If you just want a fun action movie where animals are fighting and tearing down a city, it's exactly what it is, and you will enjoy yourself so much. I definitely recommend grabbing a huge group of friends to go see this movie, especially in 3D, because it is so much more fun to see this movie in the crisp, clear 3D with a huge group of friends who are really excited to just see a really fun action movie. That, I think, is the reason why I had so much fun with it, because I was with a bunch of Stardust people and we were just cheering and having such a blast watching this movie, because other than that, that's really all this movie has going for it, honestly. The characters are kind of boring. They don't really get fleshed out a whole lot, and I mean, The Rock is there. The Rock is super fun. I love The Rock. He's the main reason I wanted to go see this movie, and the fact that he's friends with an albino gorilla really kind of sold it for me. So yeah, I was in the mood to see a fun action movie, and that's what I got. It definitely knows what it is. I feel like the actors and just pretty much everybody kind of knew what they were going in for. It's just a fun, just going all out on the over-the-top action. The acting overall is not the best, even from actors like The Rock, who's so great, and Joe Manganiello plays a very big but small role, I guess you could say. I don't want to give away any spoilers, not that there's really any spoilers to give away for this movie, but I really wish Joe Manganiello was in this a little bit more, because he was probably one of the better actors in this movie for me. Even Jeffrey Dean Morgan didn't live up to his full Jeffrey Dean Morgan potential. I did really love his Texas accent at some points, but at some points it just felt very forced and a forced part of his character. So that I could probably take or leave either way, but I wish that Jeffrey D. Morgan and The Rock were a little bit better, and that Joe Manganiello was in this a little bit more. The villain's played by Malin Ackerman. I don't even know if I'm saying her name correctly, and I don't remember the kid's name, like the actor's name, but he was in the last couple seasons of The Office. This is a picture of him. I don't know his name, but it doesn't really matter. They were both just kind of standard villains. Didn't really bring much to the table, and I mean, just kind of over the top villains. They just were in it for the money. Yeah, just normal, very stereotypical villains. and I don't really know how much else I could say about that. There is one really kind of cool thing I do want to point out in this, and I think it's because of the 3D, is in the like pivotal climax of the, well, I guess it's the beginning of the third act. It's not really the climax of the second act. It's more transitioning to the third act. And the wolf and the gorilla George are kind of tearing down the city a little bit, and they're throwing cars everywhere. And then the alligator or crocodile, the lizard animal, kind of comes up from the water and starts destroying the city with them. It picks up this like Humvee and kind of just tosses it around. And the way that they shot that, or at least the way that the 3D was added into it, made the animals, like they're CG animals played by actors, and it looks pretty cool. They look really great, but at the same time, the way they shot it, it looks like these animals are just like picking up real life model cars, and there's like model little figures on the ground where the people are in the buildings. I thought it looked really cool, but I know a lot of people in the theater with me just did not like it as much. They just thought it was kind of weird and a little off-putting, but I really enjoyed that part of the movie. It was probably one of the coolest scenes to me personally versus like anything else. And the beginning of the movie is actually pretty good. It's very touching, it's very heartfelt. You kind of see the relationship between The Rock's character, I forget his name because it's very very forgettable, and George, who is basically the main character. You think it would be The Rock, but George is basically the main character. The interactions between the two of them in the beginning are so very cute and very heartfelt, and I wish it was kind of more along those lines, kind of seeing what their relationship was, building their relationship up more, kind of fleshing out The Rock's character and any of the friends that work on the conservation, or I guess it's like not really a zoo because it's like protecting animals, but it's also a zoo because people are there visiting animals. I don't know exactly what it is. They never really they probably do. I just didn't notice. I was having too much fun seeing The Rock because who doesn't love seeing The Rock? But I think that's pretty much all I can say about this movie. I feel like I'm just rambling on and saying the same things over and over again. So my rewatch score for this will probably be, I want to say Netflix because it was a really fun movie, and I probably would just put it on if I really wanted to watch just a fun action movie. Actually, you know what? I take that back. I will give this a Netflix. I was going to give it a TV because it's not like super high on my list to rewatch, but yeah, a Netflix. I give this a Netflix. It's just a fun, dumb action movie, and I probably wouldn't ever watch it again, but if it's on Netflix, I maybe. But that is all I have for Rampage. If you have seen this, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate every single one of you. Let me know who you are in the comments down below, and let's be friends. If you enjoyed this, leave a like and subscribe if you're new, because I love talking movies, TV shows, filmmaking, and film history, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye!